Okay, of course I'm Bill. Welcome back for another episode of Diner Booth Discussions. Tonight's subject is going to be blocking and tackling. First, I have a couple things to go over, some from the last video, and one thing I've noticed is I tried to look at my channel going to YouTube through the television, and I wasn't able to figure out how to see the videos that I've linked, like the one about the Jalen Hurts fumble and the other videos that I mentioned in previous videos. So I think, unless I don't know what I'm doing, the only way you're going to be able to see the videos that I link, and I'll mention some tonight, is to go either on your tablet or your laptop, desktop, and go into YouTube, search on my channel, Diner Booth Discussions, and if you can get to my channel, there's a line that has a description. It says things that are wrong with the NFL, and there's a more button. You can click on that, or right below that it'll say 4 linked videos. You can click on that, and then it'll show the videos in order that I've linked. So if you haven't been able to see any of them, you can see them that way. Okay. In my last video, I didn't mention some of the things I didn't mention about playing the cornerback position. I thought some of the viewers might be wondering, what if I'm playing off a little bit on a receiver and the quarterback throws the ball to where the receiver is standing? You know, like the receiver just comes out of his stance, turns to the quarterback, and the ball is there. How do you defend that? And what you do in a situation like that is, when you first come up to the line, the receiver comes up to the line, look for cues as to what that receiver might do. If he's in a stance where you can tell he's getting ready to explode off the line, then he's probably not going to be catching a pass like that. He's going to be running a pattern. So you look for things like that. If he's kind of standing straight up and doesn't look like he's ready to jump off the line, you might want to play a little tighter. And, you know, maybe that's what's going to happen. The other thing is, sometimes in a short yardage situation, a receiver might run at you fast, stop and turn around and come back a step. Like if it's a 3rd and 3, he might sprint 5 yards and come back a yard, and the ball is there, and he catches it for a first down. Like I said before, you can't stop a perfect pass, but in those situations, what a cornerback's job is to arrive at the receiver at the same time the ball does. And as long as you arrive at the same time, or a split second after, you can tackle that receiver, put a good tackle on him, and a lot of times he'll drop the pass. But once again, if you're behind him, you can't do that because you can't see the ball coming. Now, one of the best guys that I've ever seen that had a natural knack for arriving at the receiver at the same time the ball arrived at the receiver was Sean Taylor. He played for the Washington Redskins. And I forget how many years it was he played. I don't think it was more than 3 or 4. He had a short career. He had a home invasion. He was murdered in his home. But if you search for Sean Taylor biggest hits, and it's a short video, it's not one of the long videos, it comes up as a short, like a TikTok video on YouTube. It has several examples of him arriving at the receiver the same time the ball does, and almost every time he jarred the ball loose. So that would be a great one to watch. I'm not sure if I've linked that already, but if I haven't, I will link that. Okay, let's get to tonight's subject, blocking and tackling. The first thing I want to say is that as I'm making these videos, I'm not trying to intentionally trash NFL players of today. They're obviously incredible athletes, incredibly talented. They're bigger, stronger, faster than they've ever been. I believe that the philosophy of coaching football has changed the game. And once I get through these videos where I'm taking specific areas and letting you know my opinion of what's wrong or what's right with that area, then I'm going to have a final video where I tie that all together and explain how this started in the NFL and how it's changed the game, and some of the things that I remember from the past that I think would make the game better today. Okay, we'll get on to blocking and tackling. First, let's talk about blocking. As far as the offensive linemen in the NFL now, I think with all the rules changes that they've had as far as blocking goes, you can't cut a guy's legs out from under him. You can't slap him upside the head or stuff like that. I mean, back in the 60s and 70s, you could basically maul a guy, and the defender could do the same to you. But with the way they have to block now, I believe that is the best area of the game. The best played area of the game is the offensive line blocking. I really believe that. Now, there is a couple of things that, if I was a coach, would drive me a little bit crazy. The first one I'll say is, suppose your team receives a kickoff and you got a guy breaks through the defense, cuts to the sideline, he's going to go all the way for a touchdown, and one of your guys in your team that's 10 yards behind you hits a guy in the back and gets the touchdown call back. Block in the back. Illegal. Bring the touchdown back. That would drive me crazy as a coach. And I don't understand what is so hard about that to understand. I guess the players are so hyped up that they just want to hit somebody. But that's something that I think coaches should drill into their players' heads. You can't block a guy if you can't see his face. If he's not facing you, you can't block him. Now they say, you got to get your head in front of him, then it's legal. But if a guy's running ahead of you and you're trying to catch him and block him, you try to stick your head in front of him, he's just going to turn his body and get the penalty. So it's not even worth trying, especially if he's not going to be able to catch the guy that's running for a touchdown. That's all I'm going to say about that. If I had hair, that would make me pull it out. The next thing is holding. Offensive lineman holding. I'm going to make this real simple. This isn't hard to understand. This is my coffee cup. It's on the edge of the table. I don't want my coffee cup to fall off the table, okay? So I can block it. And if I'm really worried and I want to be safe, I can push it back over here. Now I know it's not going to fall off. It's the same thing with the offensive lineman. He can get in the way of the defender so he doesn't sack the quarterback. If he can push him back, he can do that. Okay? This is holding. I'm holding the coffee cup. This is holding. Now I know I'm trying to make this look kind of silly, but it's that simple. It used to be, back in the 60s, 70s, I don't know if it was into the 80s, probably into the 80s, I mean, offensive linemen had to keep their hands like this. When I was playing high school, that's the way you had to keep your hands when you blocked. They had to be in. Nowadays, they're allowed to use their hands, which is good for them. But all you got to not do is this with a handful of jersey. That's all you got to do. If I was to the point where I just couldn't resist to grab, I would keep my hands like fists and just block. So that's the only thing I got for the offensive linemen in today's game. They just got to keep their hands from grabbing a handful of jersey or getting their arm under a defender's arm and then holding it. So it's simple. This is blocking, this is holding. Okay. The next thing is tackling. So there's a correct way to tackle, and it seems like it's disappeared from today's game. I'm going to show you the correct way to tackle. It's going to be kind of hard to do that here in the diner, but I'm going to give it a shot. Basically what you do is the receiver has caught the ball or the running back is running the ball and you got to tackle him. He's coming at you. You want to aim with your head. Notice I said aim, not hit with your head, not tackle with your head. You aim with your head. And why do you aim with your head? Because you got your eyes in your head. You watch the midsection of the guy running towards you. You don't watch his legs. You don't watch his hands, his arms, which way he's swinging, or his head. You watch his midsection. That's the best way to not get faked out. Of course, there's guys like Barry Sanders that could change direction like something not human, and occasionally you're gonna miss a guy like that. So you aim at the midsection, you come in low, you aim with your head, and as you get to the guy, you slide your head one side or other, and you put whichever shoulder you're going to tackle him with into his midsection. You wrap your arms around him as you're doing that, and you drive with your legs. And you don't let go. You keep your arms around him. Now, that's the way I tackled when I was in high school. That's the way I was taught. And I was a good tackler, but I only weighed 115 pounds. So what would happen with me is I would get to the guy, he'd make his moves, I put my head on either side, and I would put my shoulder into his midsection and wrap my arms. But I usually, 99% of the time, even if I tried to drive my legs, I ended up going back over and they would land on top of me. Or if they somehow got to the side of me, I still have my arms wrapped. And when a person is running, they're running like this, you'll notice that at some point their legs come together in the middle of a stride. If you keep your arms wrapped around them and you pull down, when their legs come together, you will go sliding down a little bit and then they will fall. I don't care how big they are. When their legs are together and they got forward momentum, they fall. And that is a critical part about tackling. So I always ended up on my back. I would take a beating. But I was a feisty little guy, and I'd always get up, you know, and especially if I tackled him for no gain, and I'd say, you know you just got tackled by a 115-pound cornerback. And then they would really want to run around my end, and I loved it because I was good. So I'm going to show you how to tackle without tackling, but showing it better. I got to move this camera around here. Get this lined up. Okay. This is my punching bag from my boxing days. Okay. I'm coming up to tackle this running back. I aim with my head. I slide to one side. I put my shoulder in. I wrap my arms. I drive my legs and lift up if I can. That's the way you got to do it. Now, I've linked a video that shows the perfect tackling form. Let me get back into my notes here. I'm trying to think. His name has slipped my mind. Let me look that up real quick. I want to give you the title of that video just in case you can't see it on my channel. You can search on it yourself. Okay. We go into my channel here. Ray Lewis. I don't know why that slipped my mind. I guess because I'm old. Okay, Ray Lewis used to be middle linebacker for Baltimore Ravens. Considered to be a really good one. And he made a video where these guys wanted to find out the impact, how many pounds of impact he delivered in a tackle. So they took a tackling dummy and they had it hanging from a chain, and they had a vehicle where they were going at 14 miles an hour with an extended arm with this dummy hanging from it. Ray Lewis at a certain point took off, tackled the dummy, and he made a perfect tackle just the way I described it. He aimed with his head. Right before impact, he put his head to the side, wrapped his arms, drove with his legs, tackled this dummy. And I think they came up with 1,200 pounds of force. So that's the part of the video that you really got to pay attention to. The first part of the video, they talked to him about how he liked to tackle, how he thought you should tackle. And what he did might have been right for his time, but it's not right anymore. The reason I say that is he was talking about hitting chest to chest and lifting up, driving up into the guy. And every time that's going to create helmet-to-helmet contact, which is illegal now. So when you see that part of the video, that's not what I'm wanting you to watch. I mean, you can watch it, but that's not the way it's done today. Or it can't be done because it's going to be a penalty for head-to-head contact. But then when you watch him tackle the dummy, he does it exactly the way I just explained it. So it's a good video to watch. Now, the The way a lot of defensive backs are tackling nowadays, a receiver will catch a ball towards the sideline and the cornerback will run up to him, turn his head away, and dive low to try to hit the guy and knock him out of bounds. Okay? Or I've even seen safeties come up on a running back that's running through the line, and they'll turn their head and their shoulder and dive where they think the back is going to be. And a lot of times they make contact. A lot of times they hit him hard. But sometimes they'll hit him, they'll bounce back and keep running because they didn't wrap their arms. They're not driving their legs. They just throw a shoulder into him and expect him to go down. You take somebody like Henry, plays for the Ravens. You could take 10 guys lined up, hit him with the shoulder. He's not going to go down. So that is not the way to tackle. And sometimes these guys will try to do that to a receiver to get him out of bounds. Lower their head, dive, try to hit them where they think they're going to end up at, where the receiver's going to be. And the receiver will hurdle them, jump over them because they're low enough, and keep going. But the worst case I've ever seen of how bad this method of tackling is, which it's not even a method of tackling, I don't know what you could call it, hit or miss, I guess. If you search on a video called the Minnesota Miracle, and I'm going to have it linked on my page if you can get in there and see it. I'm going to have 2 of the videos about that. One from one angle, one from another angle. This was a game, I forget what year it was, but Minnesota was playing New Orleans Saints in Minnesota. It was a playoff game, and the winner was going to go to the NFC Championship game. So with 25 seconds left in the game, the Saints got in position for a game-winning field goal. They kicked it, and it was good. They went up by 1 point. I think it was 24-23. So there's like 23 seconds left in the game. They kick off to Minnesota. They ran 2 plays that didn't get anything. They're down to 10 seconds and 1 play. Quarterback goes back to pass, and he throws a pass where the receiver kind of went in, I believe, and then went out towards the sideline. And he's running, he's looking over this shoulder, he's running toward the sideline, and the pass was underthrown a little bit. So he kind of slowed up and caught the ball. The defender, they had 2 defenders around. He turns his head away from the receiver and dives with his shoulder like he's going to knock him out of bounds. He missed him by 2 yards. Instead, the other guy that was defending him was coming up behind him to try to tackle him. He hit his own player and knocked them both down. And the guy went all the way for a touchdown. Minnesota won the game. They call it the Miracle in Minnesota. I would call it the blunder of New Orleans. So I've got those videos linked in the channel, and it just shows you how bad that is. I don't understand why coaches would let that happen more than once. If I was coaching a defense and I saw a guy try to tackle like that, I'd tell him, you need to tackle right or you're gone. I can't let you blow a game that could take us to the championship game because you refused to tackle right. I mean, the least you could have done was kept your eyes on the guy until you hit him and he would have tackled him or at least knocked him out of bounds. He missed the guy by 2 yards. And for me as a fan, if I was a New Orleans fan, that would have just drove me crazy. How can you let that happen? You're a professional athlete. It makes no sense to me. But again, I don't blame it on the player, because every game I see guys trying to tackle receivers like that. Every single game. Every game I see them get hurdled. Every game I see them miss the tackle. Every game I see them throw the shoulder in but not wrap the arms, and the receiver or running back keeps going. So it's the coaching. The coaches aren't coaching fundamentals anymore. That's my opinion. So that just about does it for this video. I'm just making these videos. I'm not really worried about likes or subscribers, although I appreciate if you like my videos and watch them, and I appreciate if you comment on them, tell me if I'm right or wrong, if you think I'm crazy. The main reason I'm doing this is because I just got so frustrated watching the poor play, and I was hoping that maybe some NFL coach would stumble across my videos and say, you know what? This guy might be right about one or two things. Maybe if we changed some things, it would make our team better. That's the only thing I'd like to see out of it. But I do appreciate you people that watch. So we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Let me know if I'm crazy. But I think that NFL's got problems. Until next time, take care.